question, what is a project? I could give you this very long-winded dictionary explanation of what a project is, but you know me, let's go practical. A project is a vehicle to get you from where you are now, let's call this our starting point, to where you want to be. That's it. A project fills in the gap through work. We then start using these complicated words to throw off non-industry people, so that work is actually our scope. And what we're actually doing is also our scope. Good. Only industry people get this now. But that aside, I've actually made a good video that delineates these two words just to simplify life. But that aside, that is what a project is. A bunch of work to get us from where we are now to where we want to be. And your projects are going to be finite. By putting a point where my project finishes, you're translating work into a project, because often that's the key. And your projects can be finite based on either the amount of work we need to do, the amount of time we've got available, the costs, other constraints, or once we've reached our objectives, that's it, project finished. At the end of a project, and often in between, we spit things out. And these are called deliverables. So a project delivers something. In this case, start was based on a need. And the finish point is based on the deliverable that solves that need. It's a house. Just in case you can't work it out from my less than awesome drawing. At the end of the project, our project was to build a house. At the end of the project, often, in this case I hope it does, often our deliverable lives on. But our project has finished. And this often confuses people because it transitions into operations management. Who looks after the asset, what do we do with it, and so on. But strictly from a project point of view, a project is a vehicle to get you from point A to point B. When that has been reached, the project is finished. Cool. Let's start adding some things about it, because you might not be convinced with that definition. So, things that characterize a project. Often projects are called unique. Once-off endeavour, something you've never done before. Alright, take that with a grain of salt. A project, isn't a repetition. It's not something that you do on a routine basis, because it negates the requirement for a thinking stage. And a lot of people call this a concept stage. It also negates the need for a planning stage, because you do it all the time, the plans are being done, the thinking's being done. A project gets called unique because we need to think about doing this. We've never done it really before, or in that way, or in that context. There's a bit of thinking, then there's a bit of planning. There's different degrees of uniqueness. I know that's kind of counterintuitive to the word itself, but some projects are totally unique. You've never done it before, no one's ever done it before, great. Other projects have got a bit of repetition, things that you've done before, and elements of things you haven't done before. So yes, projects are effectively unique. If you want to go from a risk point of view, projects are inherently risky due to their uniqueness. If you consider risk a function of information, the more you know about something, the less risky it is going to be. And we've just called a project unique. We don't know much about it. Yeah, a project has an elevated degree of risk. Projects are often called complex as well, although I think if we just break it down, they're simple beasts. They're complex because you're managing different compartments of a project. You're managing costs, time, risk, expectations, people, resources, and so on to get an amount of work done to yield objectives within a finite amount of time. So yeah, projects can be quite complex. Project management itself is managing all of this work, making sure that we can get all of this done within the confines of our constraints. So in very simple terms, that's a project. For me, when I consider a project, I think the most important thing is this: identifying the need. Why are we doing this? What is the motivation that gets us from this point to this point? Is it a requirement? Is it an opportunity? But effectively, for me, a project is a purpose, a reason to actually migrate from what we're currently doing to a new state. A project is an act of change, and one that should be jumped in with a degree of thinking, planning. So project management, for a lot of people who aren't used to it, seems to slow you down, because the human tendency is screw this, let's just start doing it. And project management says, well, if we start here, we're going to end up backtracking a lot. So what we go through within the project management courses is really having a structured approach to projects, and we make it super practical. We start off with the thinking, we then go through the planning, then we say, okay, I trust you, you've got your license, go and do it. And after it's done, we review it. Can we do it better next time? So if you think of project management in a simple 4-stage process, projects become simple. And that's our aim, to make things simple. All right, hopefully that's explained what a project is. Questions, comments, as normal, just hit me up. All right, have a great day.